In this video, I'm going to be sharing some exercises that have been inspired by Bruce Lee, and also by, I'll get to that at the end actually. So these exercises are inspired by Bruce Lee because Bruce Lee was a big fan of isometric exercises, and what he would do is just flex as hard as he can in certain ways, and as a result, that's how he would train. Isometric exercises is just basically when you're flexing as hard as you can, but you're not moving at all. I know in bodybuilding for the sets, you have to. It's ideal to have between 40 to 70 seconds per set. However, with isometric exercises, I don't know if there's any studies been done regarding how effective isometric exercises are compared to like normal bodybuilding exercises with like the classical concentric and eccentric portions of the movement. So I just wanted to share a few ideas that I had. First one is for tricep extensions. So for tricep extensions, what you would do is most of these exercises, except for one, is done from like a kneeling position, so it's hella convenient. So what you do is, for triceps, obviously it extends like that, right? So for an isometric version of this is that you put your hands on your knees or your hands on top of your thighs, and you just start pressing down. And you press down for like 40 seconds per set. Alternatively, okay, that's triceps. And then for biceps, what you do is you can do it in a few different ways. First one is cupping your wrist and then doing the bicep curl on this side. So I'm flexing as hard as I can right now. If your bicep is too strong for your tricep, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to do like that if you're honest with your contraction. So alternatively, you can put it on your elbow, or put your elbow on top of your hand and do the bicep squeeze or the bicep contraction like that. Another way is to take your hand and put it underneath your thigh, but above so it's in your knee armpit, your knee pit. Put it there, and you contract your bicep like that. So we did triceps, we did biceps. Now for chest, there are a couple things you can do. First one is you put your knees together, and you take your hands and you're going to squeeze your knees together, and now you're contracting your chest. Alternatively, you could crisscross your hands and push out. That's a much better squeeze. For lats, what you do is you take your hands, put them on your kneecaps, and just yank back. That was a really good squeeze as well. And for hamstrings, you can have, well, this is not in your kneeling position, but what you do is you take your heel, you wedge that onto the ground like that, and then you take this and you contract it as hard as you can, and now you get a really good contraction in the lower hamstring. Flip it over, same thing. For your upper hamstring, or for your lower quad, what you could do is, if you ever heard of like a sissy squat, in which you don't squat like that. Sissy squat, you squat with your knees on the ground, and your feet are obviously touching the ground. You squat like that. It's the same idea, but you're just doing that with one leg, and you're doing it from a place of mechanical severe disadvantage. So you're pressing it all into one leg. So I'm gonna try flexing this leg. So it just gets really hard and tight. Same thing with this side you can do. For calves, what you could do is just flex your calves as hard as you can, although you're just going to get cramps like that. Couldn't really think of too many options with that. For lateral delts, what you could do is you take your hands, you put them on the inside of your thigh, and you just try to rip them apart. For traps, you can put them on the inside of your thigh in your knee pit, like I explained earlier, and just pull up, or you can put them underneath everything, underneath your shins, and you can pull up as well. And then there's also for your lower back, it's like a deadlift style movement. You're not going to be in your kneeling position, unfortunately, but it's a pretty close alternative. What you're going to be doing is taking one of your hands, grabbing your wrist like this, and then clenching your bicep. Like, don't have your hands completely extended out, just have a little bit of pull, or a little bit of contraction, and you put this underneath your knee. You go into like a deadlift position, get a good form, you pull. Same thing with the other side, change up your grip. So the deadlift trains your upper back, lower back, glutes, quad, hamstring, grip even. What other portions have we not trained? Yeah, we haven't trained our abs, and we haven't trained our obliques. So for obliques, what you would do is you take one of your hands, put it on the opposite outside of the opposite thigh, and you're trying to rip it this way. And this trains your obliques as well as your rear delt. Same thing on this side. What you could also do is have your hand on the inside of your own thigh to train obliques, and try to twist this way. Try to force it out. This trains chest more than anything, to be honest, but still works. Lastly is abs. So for abs, what we'll do is we're gonna have our hands pushed, hands on our thighs, or hands on our knees, and be pushing down where your elbows are locked out. Just pushing down and contracting. I'm trying to bring my head all the way to the ground. And I think that's how you train almost every muscle in your body, just by kneeling. Anyway, so the reason why I was inspired by, or the reason I started thinking about exercises like these, is because I saw a patient a couple months ago, I think in the winter time. There was a patient who had a multiple sclerosis, and I remember in multiple sclerosis, I'm not actually sure what the disease was, but in the disease, she was contracting a lot, so she kept on moving up and down, up and down, up and down, and as a result, her muscles became very strong, and she developed a hypertrophy, which was, it looked a bit unnatural. It was a bit unexpected to see that kind of hypertrophy. So I thought that if this patient was developing hypertrophy just from very simple movements and very simple exercises without any external resistance, I guess she would have the resistance of her own antagonizing muscles. So like with the bicep and the tricep going up and down, up and down, up and down. Or flexing your biceps up and down like that, your bicep and your tricep at the same time. Or, and then I also thought about how bodybuilders, after they work out, they'd flex really, really hard. So that patient, and learning about bodybuilders doing that. And I also learned about this one Russian dude, like Alexander Zass, I think his name was, I'm not sure. I'll put a link to that. Basically, he used to be in a prison, and he would just yank on the bars of the prison, and he would just develop strength from that, because I don't know if he developed strength through that, but the point of him doing that was so that way he wouldn't lose his gains that he otherwise had made. So yeah, these are just some ideas that are Bruce Lee inspired. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it's somewhat useful.